Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Beyond the Reels, where today we're going to be kicking off the new year by looking at Tom Horn Gaming's latest slot release, 243 Fire and Diamonds. Joining me today is Mykhailo Pushnia, game designer at Tom Horn Gaming, who's returning to Beyond the Reels to walk us through this latest slot release. Before we look into the slot title, could you just give us a bit of a look back on Tom Horn Gaming's 2023 and maybe take a look at some highlights of the year in terms of slot production?
Sure, 2023 was a remarkable year for Tom Horn Gaming. We created diverse games with different themes, with different features, as well as some well-known classics for our players. We really focused on bringing new experiences, as well as going back to some of the older games. Eventually, we created a sequel for the most famous game series, Crystal Fruits. The game was 81 Crystal Fruits. I would say our approach this year was to combine novelty with some kind of tradition. Eventually, you can see that in the games such as Book of Cleo and Book of Aladdin, where we combined very, very loved by players and popular all around the world Book of feature together with some contemporary art with the Middle East Aladdin and also with the rich emperor of the Egypt Cleopatra. And additionally, Wild Dragon's Fortune, the focus of our previous interview, was proven to be a significant success for us. The game resonated quite well with our players, and yeah, so it was pretty good year for us.
If we now sort of look at the themes within 243 Fire and Diamonds, it's quite interesting there that you mentioned sort of combining different themes. So this is a bit of a fruity slot with sort of a diamond twist to it as well. But can you sort of explain the benefits of fitting a new slot in your roadmap into these sort of familiar and a bit more traditional themes?
Well, so I believe that classical fruit slots are still really popular amongst the players, and they still captivate pretty substantial player base all around the world. Even though we have a trend of growing popularity of the games with complex features, themes, narratives, etc. But I think that there is one segment of players who prefer simplicity and familiarity over the modern, or let's say, fancy graphics. But on the other hand, there are also younger generation of players who enjoy more new games, and I think it's more because they were like raised on different games in some way, because I believe that the younger generation, they were raised on mobile games, maybe PC games, console games. So when you take a look at the slot game, you would expect maybe some narrative behind it or just some story, not just the fruits. But fruits games are also really good, and the players love it because it's a classic. And in 243 Fire and Diamonds, we really took the traditional elements of a slot games such as fire, diamonds, obviously, the fruits, and just by combining this art together with contemporary and astonishing art, we really brought the experience to a whole new level. And like this fusion of old and new should bring really nice experience to our players.
How important do you think it is for players to sort of feel familiar with a slot and the themes that are sort of built within it?
Well, I think that familiarity is one of the pretty significant key elements of every game. However, I would say there are a few more important ones, such as strong marketing, maybe good lobby positioning, well-balanced math model, also engaging features, even sounds for some of the people, right? So while this familiarity with the game is really important for the players, to engage them and for the game to be interesting for the players, I still feel like there are a few more much more important ones for the players. And like basically you can follow really simple approach when you would go already known path and you would just like, let's say, clone some game or copy it. But I think that if you will do that, there are also the downsides. Eventually your game might not stand out from thousands of the others, right? And if your game doesn't bring anything new, then players, maybe they will play for some time, but then they will just go back to the previous games which they were enjoying. So familiarity can be a valuable aspect, but I believe there are a few more which are much more important for the players and during the game's development process.
And now, if we go into the gameplay for 243 Fire and Diamonds, Could you just walk us through a quick base game spin of the game and what sort of features we can expect to see in there?
Sure. So the game has 5 spinning reels with 243 ways to win. There are 8 regular symbols, high symbols represented by the fruit symbols, and bars and bells are the low symbols in the game. There are also 3 variations of wild symbol and 1 special diamond scatter symbol. Basically, the very first feature of the game is wild multipliers, and we are having 3 variations of wild symbol, each of them having its own multiplier. So we have a single 7 symbol, which has multiplier of x1, double 7 has multiplier of x2, and triple 7 has a multiplier of x3. If you take a look at the very traditional game multiplier progression, you would see that 1 wild awards you x2, if you have 2 wilds on a winning line it would award you x4, and if you have 3 wilds it would award you x8, if we talk about really classical game, right? So we on purpose decided to bring different multipliers into this game to broaden the range of possible combinations for the players to explore, and so we make the game more interesting and not repetitive in some way. The wilds multiply line win, and obviously there could appear different combinations of the wilds. You can have like 3 triple wilds on a win line. You could have maybe single, double, and triple wild on the same win line. So basically there are a lot of combinations to explore in the game. Regarding the max win, you might expect win of 1800 in the game, I mean x 1800. And a few words about the volatility. So the volatility leans toward medium, maybe just slightly edging towards high. And there is also the second feature, which is called Diamond's Hit feature. And this one is pretty straightforward. So we have a diamond symbol in the game, and depending on the number of symbols, of the diamond symbols on the screen, player is going to receive a payout. Payout starts from 5 symbols, from 5 diamonds, and it ends on the full screen, so basically 15 symbols. And as you can see from the gameplay, the maximum win for full screen of diamonds is x777.
So I know you've said that that feature with the diamonds is obviously, well, you said it's quite simple. But in a way, do you think there's a reason why players sort of appreciate it being sort of easy to understand whereabouts the big wins are going to come in the slot?
Yeah, I think absolutely players enjoy clarity in terms of understanding from where the big wins come from. And actually in this game we have 2 places from where big wins can come from. This is wild multipliers, which have max win of 1800, and Diamond's Hit, which has max win of 777. Basically, we did this on purpose, that Diamond's Hit has slightly lower max win, and what we wanted to achieve is to make this kind of win achievable for the players. This, combined with frequent teasers throughout the gameplay, should make it really dynamic and really engaging for the players. If you would compare it to a game that has only wild multipliers anticipation, right? It's like completely different level of anticipation, because there you would just get a win combination, celebration, and then you would return to it. But this game is full of interesting teasings, which make your gameplay much more engaging, and so on. So by diversifying sources of big wins, we really wanted to make the gameplay more interesting for the players and much more replayable for them.
Okay, and some of the bonus features in the game can be bought access to using the buy bonus feature. Can you explain why there is a demand for these sort of features and whether that has sort of increased in recent months and years?
So the Quick X is our proprietary bonus buy feature, which offers players more immediate gameplay, game style. So I think in order to understand the popularity behind buy feature, it's really important to understand what it offers. So we have three options in the game, and this is the spin with 1 wild, spin with 1 random wild, spin with 2 random wilds, and Diamond's Hit feature. So just one note: if you buy spin with 1 random wild, you could still get, for example, 2 wilds or maybe even 3, just not less than 1. And the same goes with 2 wilds. We observed that this feature bonus buy is much more important amongst the younger audience, and I think it's really convenient for the people who are eager to jump right to the game features right away, or who are short on time. Instead of, let's say, playing boring gameplay of no wins or just of a few small wins, you can just jump right into the game features and you can experience the game, just the best gameplay of the game. You can experience it right away. In terms of demand for this feature, well, I would say that all of the providers release games with the buy feature in some way, right? So from being a trend, I would say it just became like a standard for our games. And I'm not sure if it's going to change anytime soon, because unless we are looking far away in the future, I think that's how the slot games will look, that all of them are going to have the buy feature bonus.
And it's interesting that you say that it's sort of noticed that it appeals to more sort of younger players with being able to buy access to bonuses. Now, how do you think sort of slots like these with more familiar themes can appeal to sort of a newer generation of players, and maybe to people who haven't played a slot before?
Well, 243 Fire and Diamonds represent contemporary view on the traditional slot features, which is also enhanced by the pretty good graphics, pretty modern one, contemporary. I think it has positive effect on the younger audience because they would like it. And actually, this game started off as 81 ways game, just with wild multipliers. And during the concept creation, we realized that it might be not so appealing for the younger audience. So that's why first thing which we changed is that we implemented Diamond's hit feature. And once we implemented it, we had much more teasings in the game, much more things to anticipate, to wait for, and so on. So it became already more interesting. And the second change which we did was to increase the grid size from 81 ways to 243. I mean, 243 is also pretty classical and pretty standard, but at least it gives more opportunities for the wins, more possibilities for the wins. So I would say it's just much better overall. And yeah, we believe that these changes from the very concept stage should bring really positive effect on all of the audiences, not just the younger players, because I would say that the older players, they enjoy more maybe just simple features and math, and the younger players are eager for something with better visuals, maybe better sounds, animation, transitions, and like that kind of things.
Okay, and so do you think sort of a younger generation of players sort of prefer there to be a bit more suspense in the game, like you said with the teasings? Do you think that is something that those sort of players might enjoy a bit more than more traditional players?
I think that for the traditional players, they are really like the fact that they exactly understand what is going on in the game, because there are not so many wins, and with this games for the younger generation, there are just such a big possibility of wins what can occur, like life-changing wins, etc., that it just should really be nice and smooth gameplay for them rather than something what they understand. So it just should be exciting, and these teasings, they bring something exciting for what players are seeking for, I think.
Right, and now that sort of 2023 is just about behind us, looking at 2024, what can our viewers expect to see from Tom Horn Gaming with its slot production in the next year?
So our goal for the next year is twofold. First of all, it's to expand our collection of themed games, bringing out new experiences, new environments for the players, as well as to go back to some of the very traditional games and to bring a new, let's say, a new fresh view onto them. So this dual approach allows us to really, it basically aims to combine the nostalgic feeling with some innovations in some way. So you would be playing games which you enjoyed maybe even a long time ago, and you would just play it with modern graphics and really modern feeling, maybe new features. So we think it will be really interesting, and I would say that our viewers should definitely wait for the next year, which will be full of creativity, novelty, and high quality games for which we are known at Tom Horn Gaming.
Excellent then, lots to look out for. Thank you very much for coming back on, Mykhailo. It's a pleasure to have you back, and we hope to see you on another episode in the future maybe. And for those of you watching, thank you very much, and we will see you in the next one.